Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity beeby dow!
And we're here.
Whoa! We're back.
You never know if it's recording when you hit the button until it starts going.
That's true.
Got to get the profound statements out of the way early on because this is American Brews and Tunes.
Hello.
Episode 115.
Yes.
Believe it or not. My name is Stephen Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
Now, if you guys remember from our acclaimed episode last week,
Critically acclaimed.
Critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
Just acclaimed.
Yeah.
By critics and non-critics alike.
I mean, I'm a critic, and I acclaim it.
I acclaim it as well.
So
there are two critics.
Critically
who
acclaimed.
acclaim it. Yeah, universally.
Who knew?
We had mentioned to you all that we don't even know what this episode's going to be about. Since then, we found out.
Oh, yeah, we did.
It's going to be about, and is about, I guess, the album Everything Now by Arcade Fire.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic album.
So this will be the third Arcade Fire album that we have reviewed on this podcast.
Yes, it will.
The first two being recommendations that you gave for me to listen to.
Yeah, I recommended Neon Bible and what was the other one called? The Suburbs. The Suburbs, yeah. Yes.
And those were both earlier episodes, I believe. I think Neon Bible was in like
I'm pretty sure
10.
Neon Bible was like the third episode.
Yeah. And then The Suburbs was one of like the first repeating episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff though. I really didn't think I liked Arcade Fire.
They're pretty darn good, man.
They are.
But canonically in their discography, I guess this is the most recent album, right?
Yeah, it's coming up on 4 years old now, but they haven't released anything since. So it is their most recent release.
2017, I believe, is when they released this album. Yeah, it was.
I'm trying to remember what happened then, but
all I know is it was definitely better than this past year.
Yeah, that's not really setting the bar too high.
No.
but yeah, I agree with you 100%. But before we get into everything now and everything later, let's talk about some beer, shall we?
Yes, we shall. I'm pretty excited about this beer today.
I am too. It's a collaboration brew, from what it looks like, from Against the Grain and Upland Brewing.
Yes.
I believe we've had some Against the Grain beers on the podcast. I think it was like the 35K stout.
Yes, I remember that.
And maybe a couple other ones here and there, right? But Upland, I've never heard of them.
I've also never heard of them.
They're from Bloomington, Indiana.
Okay.
I would have never even known that Bloomington was a state. I mean, a city.
I was like, Bloomington's not a state, Steve.
Just testing your geographical skills.
Okay. Thank you.
You're sharp.
I am sharp, yep.
But yeah, Bloomington, Indiana. Didn't know it was a city.
Yes.
But alas, it is. And they have a brewery called Upland who collaborated with Louisville, Kentucky's Against the Grain.
I don't think I've ever heard of Upland Brewing.
I haven't either. I've heard of Highland.
Yeah.
But not Upland. But the beer they came together to collaborate over is called Overcompensation.
Mm-hmm.
A double India Pale Ale. Now, the description on Untapped says this. It says, the aroma is an extravagant barrage of the rich, fruity flavors of melon, lime, orange, passion fruit, and papaya, carried by wafts of warming alcohol.
Wafts.
What a good word.
Yeah.
The unobtrusive, grainy malt profile shows the personality of the hop flavor to leap to the forefront with dizzying amounts of tropical fruit and citrus, followed by a piney finish.
Ooh. Well, it sounds pretty good. I'll be interested to see if I can actually pick out all those different type of citrus that they described there. Specifically, the lime and the orange, and
we talked about the melon on that one episode because the melon baller.
Yeah, the melon baller. Yeah,
rhyme, if I remember correctly, from Bearded Iris.
That actually did taste like melon.
Yes, it really did.
It was very interesting.
No baller necessary.
Yes, no baller necessary. You just had to drink it. Just put it in your mouth and swallow.
Yep, that's exactly what you had to do. Now, I do notice on Untapped that the picture for the beer is this big green artwork of this guy going down a hill about to go off a mountain on this crazy looking bicycle.
Yeah.
And it's different from the can that we have.
Yes.
Our can has a guy on a crazy looking bicycle, but he's like riding over top of snakes and a weird thing. And the artwork on the can that we have is 100% against the grain's artwork because they have a specific artist that draws all their stuff.
Yeah, I actually found it. The one that we have right now from Against the Grain is on Untapped.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you just have to look up Overcompensation. So
Oh,
I think each brewery probably released it with different artwork.
yeah, that makes sense because on the can that we have, there's a little sentence on the back that says, "Ours is bigger than yours." And
Yep.
it says, Upland thought they could be better than us. Bigger, faster, more souped up. Turns out they are. But what they don't have is our expert ability to
Shotgun.
shotgun beers with movie stars, wear crochet suits, commandeer strip clubs, and make a bigger IPA. There, we said it. Ours is better, so drink up. Don't believe it?
All
I bet
right.
they're overcompensating too. Okay, so maybe I gotta relook up overcompensation and see if I can find the one that we have.
Yeah, let me see.
Oh, I found it.
Oh, it actually just says what you said, and then it says this double IPA is dense in flavor but easy drinking with juicy, semi-sweet hop character and hints of pineapple notes.
Yeah, so maybe it's two separate collaborations.
It might be, yeah.
We might never find the other one unless we go to Indiana or somewhere within their distribution network.
Yeah, yeah, we might have to.
Maybe, but let's give this a crack and a pour.
Crack, pour, and a try.
Oh yeah. Well, I can smell just a faint hop smell from the can.
Ooh, I smell that fruitiness. Wow.
Okay, got a pretty nice pour here. Definitely not.
Woo.
Well, it's not like crystal clear, but it's not a hazy IPA.
No. I would say it's definitely, definitely not a hazy IPA, but there's a slight little bit of haze, not too much though.
Yeah, there's definitely a citrusy note, but I'm getting a nice, like juicy. I wouldn't say pungent hop smell, but like a very present.
Yeah,
Hop smell.
the fruitiness is kind of overpowering the hop smell for me.
Yeah, it's not like punch in the face West Coast, but it's not as juicy as a New England. Kind of like hovering in the middle.
Yeah, I'm really interested to try this beer because it does not smell like it's 9% alcohol by volume.
No, and that's pretty high for a beer.
Yeah.
Technically, I think anything above 6.3% is considered high gravity.
Yes.
So this is very high gravity, if you know what I'm saying. Let's say that we give this a try.
Yeah, let's give it a cheers and a try.
As we always say on American Brews and Tunes. That sounded like we got that in the same time. But who knows? I'll find out whenever I edit this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Down the collaboration overcompensation hatch.
Wow. I have not had a beer like this in a long time.
More malty than I was expecting.
Yeah, it has like a really nice malt backbone, and there's just a slight little bit of that pineapple flavor.
Yeah, but it's not as juicy or fruity as the smell would imply.
Yeah, but it's just enough to cut through and not make like the hoppiness and the maltiness like too overpowering.
I agree. It's it's a solid beer.
It definitely tastes like 9%. It does not smell like 9%, but it tastes like it.
I was just going to say the same thing. I can taste it and I can feel it going down. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this.
It's not an off-putting alcohol flavor, but it's just a nice knowing it's there.
Yeah, it's very tasty.
There to remind you, hey, I'm here. Don't drink a 6-pack of me.
Yeah.
Or do. I don't know.
Hey, I mean, it all depends on how tipsy you want to get in one day.
Depends on who's driving.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway,
That-
I really like it. It's very, very tasty.
That is a good one. Yeah, I would get this again, but I just wish we had the other half,
Yeah,
Upland's version.
I wish that we would have known that it was like there were two different versions of it.
Yeah, because that's not common when it comes down to collaborations. Usually, it's just one, not two breweries making the same kind of thing
Right.
on their own. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just maybe I'll do some more research and find the story later. Who knows? But it's curious, worth looking into for sure, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as we always do, if the flavor changes to us as it warms up, we'll let you know. Otherwise, let's move on to the album, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Yeah. So, like Jesse was saying, this came out in 2017, and it is Arcade Fire's fifth studio album, number 5. I'd say, well, not just me. I think a lot of people would say that it's much more like synthy and poppy and dancey, and it kind of builds on some of the sounds that they started experimenting with on their previous album, Reflector.
Yeah.
And on this album, they collaborated with several co-producers, but two of the big ones were there was a guitar player from Pulp, who's kind of like a rock band, and the other
Mhm.
one was one of the two members from Daft Punk.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think that had
That's
some
interesting.
huge influence. I don't have the guy's name off the top of my head. If you really want to know who the Daft Punk guy was, you can look it up and find it with the click of a button.
Yeah, because we have this thing called the internet that we can use to look up things.
It's great.
It is pretty
You don't-
amazing.
If you don't know about it, send us a DM and we'll teach you all about the internet.
Yeah, that definitely does kind of explain how because like this album definitely is like less guitar driven, less like acoustic instrument driven, and a lot more electronic instrument driven. So that makes a lot of sense.
More synthy, dancey, poppy, and I would say more immediately accessible, which is a pro for me.
Okay, yeah, I could see how it would be a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, I think some of their other albums I had to sit with a little longer to start to enjoy. This one, I think there was
Yeah.
a lot of stuff on there that I liked it
Yeah,
pretty quickly. But this debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Top 200 upon its release.
it did. Wow, I actually didn't know that.
Believe it or not, I think it's their third, but don't quote me that one. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
It was, however, polarizing critically. Reviews were either like some people said it was their best album, some people said it was a huge misstep. But this is the first time where it wasn't like universally critically acclaimed
Okay.
for one of their albums.
Well, as we've established, we are acclaimed critics, and I would say that it's right, kind of in the middle. Just like in general, for me, it's in the middle. It's not like I don't think it's their best album, or personally, it's not my favorite album, but I don't think it's a total flop or like a total misstep.
Agreed. I acclaim this.
I acclaim this.
It gets my stamp of acclaim. I'm going to acclaim it from the rooftops.
Acclaim it from the mountains.
Yeah.
Acclaim it across the valleys,
The valleys.
the shores of America.
The shores of...
No, the shores of Canada.
Oh. Are they fully Canadian though?
I
think
believe
some of them are, and then like Wynn and Will Butler were like,
I think they were like born in Texas, weren't they?
yeah,
And
I
then
think they
they
went to
moved to
school in
Canada?
Canada or some. Yeah, it's something
They like
strange.
went to college in Canada, I think.
Yeah, so I don't really know fully what they are, but I think they're
they're-
a Canadian band.
Yes, they
because
are
of
considered a Canadian band, but I do believe that
there's some strange
the Butler
international stuff.
the Butler brothers are from America though, originally.
Yeah, the suburbs of Texas.
We could be wrong about that. I'm just saying that from memory.
I'm fairly certain you're right about that because I saw some stuff about that today as well.
Okay.
But I remember the first time I heard this record, it was when we were taking a whole bunch of garbage to the dump after that day-long clearing of the garage.
Yes, I remember that
I was
too.
driving that oversized truck that Gary had.
That humongous truck. It was ridiculous.
You found out how to put your phone on Bluetooth and we listened to it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I knew that they had a new album out.
I
I didn't
don't
really
think
pay
that you
attention.
did. I remember like it came out and well, actually, was that in 2017 or was that later when we were taking that trip? I can't remember.
I think it would have had to have been around then.
Around then, probably. But
Yeah.
either way, I remember having listened to it for a long time
It was
before showing you
probably
the album.
it was I think it was that fall because that's when Jesse Dick left.
Yeah, I think so.
So it would have been that fall. So it was probably out for, I don't know, maybe 3 months at that point when we played
Yeah,
it.
probably.
But I wasn't 100% blown away, but I was interested after you played it.
Hmm.
And so I checked it out. It's pretty cool. I ended up buying the album. And do you have any of their stuff on physical format by chance?
Yes, the only one that I have is actually the album is sitting right here. It's on vinyl. If I can get it
Mhm.
out from here, it's one of their first albums.
Was it the EP
No,
or was it Funerals?
I can't get it out of there right now.
Fair enough. But
It's sorry, it's stuck on between that and my desk.
yeah, fair enough. But one of the things I really like that they do is with every physical release, like the lyric booklet or page or however they format it, is kind of unique to the theme or concept of the album.
Yeah.
Like on Funeral, it was kind of like a funeral program.
Oh, right.
On Neon Bible, it was kind of like a Bible, like it was set up like verses.
Right.
On Suburbs, it kind of looked like a photo book almost, and like they would have like journal entries
Okay.
as if you're like a teen in the suburbs.
Right.
Reflector kind of has it like a playbill,
Hmm.
and then Everything Now, which kind of delves into some of the themes of commercialism. It's set up like a weekly like periodical that you get from like a supermarket where they advertise new products and sales. So it's kind of cool, and it's like a 1-page thing, and it's kind of like the material that you'd expect the weekly thing to come every like with your Sunday paper.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Okay.
cool. I like that they actually do that.
Okay, so I actually just got the album out that I have, and it's just called Arcade Fire. I think, unless it's
Is that the record store day one?
it's the Arcade Fire is what it is.
That might be their very first one.
Yeah, it does have No Cars Go, but it's the first version of it, and the lyric
The original.
sheet is kind of like just like a poster,
Oh,
like a poster that you would see for like a play or something.
interesting. Yeah, I got to show. Next time you come over, I got to show you what these ones look like because it's pretty cool.
All right, yeah, cool. That'd be sweet.
It's unique. I like when bands go a little bit beyond it and
Kind of have a shtick like that.
yeah, just kind of like a building upon the medium in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, there have
cool.
been bands who like release a comic book along with their record and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Or the Lords of Huron who create their own universe and create websites and
Yeah, right.
big stuff. Yeah,
I forgot about that. That's so funny.
that was wild.
It was
The
wild.
amount
Yeah.
of effort. Yeah. Well, shall we go track by track?
Let's do it.
All right, I've got 3 recommendations and 1 honorable mention. And the reason, in case you've never listened to any of our reviews before, the reason I do that is because I assume that not everybody's going to listen to the full album that we recommend or that we are reviewing. You probably should, but if you don't, these are the ones I would say check out.
And I say you definitely should listen to the whole album because that's the only way to listen to it.
I think it's the best way.
I think, yeah, you're right. It is the
Let's-
best, in my opinion. That is the best way to listen to it. It's not the only way.
I agree.
But-
In a world of Spotify, it's not the same as it once was. Full albums are, I don't know. People just
Yeah.
don't listen to the whole like they used to.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm cynical. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think you're right.
Yeah. To a degree. But that's nothing never. So let's get to everything now.
Okay.
Track number 1 is called Everything _ Now, continued.
Yes. This is just a short little instrumental track, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, no, it's not instrumental. There is a couple of lyrics. I'm in the black again.
Oh, right. Yeah. But it's only like 50 seconds long.
Yeah. And it's like a lyrical and musical continuation of the final track on the album, which is called Everything Now Continued. So it's the same
Yes.
title, but no underscore.
Yes.
Which I wonder why they chose the first song to put the underscore. If
um,
you look on the context of the album, this happens one other time with Infinite Content.
probably just
And here's my theory,
okay,
if you'll indulge me.
I will.
On Infinite Content, the first one is just called Infinite Content. The second one is called Infinite underscore Content.
Yep.
And I think they're trying to say that the first one has no underscore, the second has an underscore. So if you take that idea and put it for this song and the last song, it's kind of saying that the last song is supposed to go first. And that almost segues into this one. And a lot of people will say that it's like an infinite loop where the record just plays over and over again.
I could see that. I think that it could. I have listened to it multiple times in a row in the past.
Mhm.
So that could be why. Or it could be that they had to differentiate between the songs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they definitely had to.
For like legal purposes, maybe.
Yeah, you definitely have to.
But
Working in music licensing,
that also makes sense though. That they kind of wanted to be like an infinite loop.
mm-hmm. Being the music licensing expert that I am, bands typically have to give their songs different titles. I mean, the company I work for, if we have songs that have the same titles, we have to make note of that they're separate songs. So
Okay.
I think legally they have to do it just for their own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this also segues into the title track, which comes right afterwards. But I like that right before that, it kind of has this like crescendoing strings.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're hearing like either slot machines or maybe like cash register sounds,
Yep.
like money type thingies, commercialism type
Yep.
things.
Yep.
And that introduces you to what the theme is.
Yeah. That's going to be the overarching theme. I mean, I would say the overarching theme is like consumerism, right?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
And then I like what they're saying about consumerism, or I guess at the time of the release, like the current consumeristic culture that
Mhm.
is even probably more so prevalent today, 4 years later.
Yeah, with all the e-commerce.
Yes.
Yeah. But moving on to track number 2, which is called Everything Now, the title track.
Oh yeah.
This is my first recommendation, and it might be my favorite Arcade Fire song
In general.
in general.
Nice. Yeah, it's such a fantastic song.
Yeah, this is the one that I think I like the best upon my first listen, because it's just so catchy and like it's just like this really big pop song.
Yeah, it really is. Yep. Starts off with that like driving piano, you know.
Mm-hmm. And they got really nice dynamics, I think, between the verses and chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And just all kind of cool stuff going on. Really polished. It's just really like a fun, dancey song. But I mean, it's more than just a dancey song because this is, of course, Arcade Fire.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I do have a little quote here that I found from an interview of Win and Will Butler, the two brothers from Arcade Fire.
Okay.
And they had spoken with this guy named Ari Shapiro on NPR. And he, I guess, is from something called All Things Considered, which is popular. I'm not super familiar with it, though.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like like a half an hour long show or hour long show.
On NPR, I'm assuming?
On NPR, yep.
Yeah. But here's a little portion where they were talking about the song Everything Now. So Ari says, so much of this album is about stuff. It seems like a real contrast to that. And Wynn says, I don't agree. I mean, Everything Now is super emotional. And Ari says, tell me about that. To me, it feels like inundation. Now, I had to look up that word because I wasn't fully sure what it meant. And it's like about stuff or things or people. So Wynn replies to that. He says, take the lyric, every inch of road's got to turn. Daddy, how come you're never around? I miss you. Unquote. It's not really about stuff. It's about longing for connection and longing for love. I think that's a conceptual framework around the record, is trying to come to some sort of understanding about the moment we're in and trying to have some peace with it. But the actual record is really about people. And it's really, I would say, very direct and heartfelt.
Mm.
So he's I guess there is trying to find a human connection, but 100% this is about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as the songs continue, the what am I trying to say here? The fact that it's about stuff becomes pretty evident as you listen to the whole album.
Pretty evident in this song too. He's like,
Yeah.
you need everything now, and like, I've got all my rooms are filled with stuff that I can't live without.
Yep.
But really good song. Great start to the record.
Definitely.
Moving on to track number 2, Signs of Life.
Mm.
Still dancey, but
Bum,
in a
bum,
very
bum.
different way.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's got that funky bass.
Yeah.
And it's not just because the song starts with sirens, but it does sound like this could be like a 70s cop movie.
I suppose so. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, the sirens help.
I could definitely
also.
hear that. I could definitely hear
Yeah.
that. That's funny.
Yeah. It's cool, but I like, in addition to the funky like bass and the beat, there's some really cool orchestration that comes in, like the
Yeah.
but it comes in the chorus and in the verses in different ways, and it's just kind of really layered nicely.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. On Facebook, Arcade Fire had posted about this song, and they said that this song is either about the futility of seeking meaning in a meaningless world, or a celebration of a banging night in the club.
That's hilarious.
I think they kind of, maybe musically it's about a banging night at the club, but
Because like I mean I could definitely see that, right? Like it's obviously about, like they're saying, you know, that life is essentially meaningless, and there's, you know, even if like, because what's the lyric in the song? Looking for signs of life, looking for signs every night, but there's no
signs of life.
So we do it again. Again? Yeah. And then yeah, you think about that in the context of the whole like blah blah blah. What am I trying to say here?
Consumerism stuff.
Yeah, consumerism. The whole theme of the album. It's like, I'm not sure if they're saying that consumerism has kind of like taken the meaning out of life, but kind of, probably. Yeah.
Maybe there's some consumerism in the next song. I don't know. It's called Creature Comfort.
Maybe.
Creature Comfort.
Creature Comforts. Yep. Dang.
Like a really bouncy, synthy, poppy song.
Creature Comfort makes it painless.
I keep saying everything's dancey and poppy, but
the song's also pretty dancey, though.
It's true. Yeah, it is. There are songs that aren't as dancey, but this one 100% is.
Is this a song where they say, talk about wanting to get famous?
Yeah. God, make me famous.
If you can't, just make it painless. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got some dark lyrics.
Uh-huh.
It kind of like outlines these things that are like kind of sad and maybe cause depression, like all the people looking in the mirror and waiting for the feedback.
Yep.
And it talks about some suicidal thoughts. Like there's the line where
you filled up the bathtub and put on our first record.
Yeah, which will come back later.
Mm.
But later in the song, and the person doesn't commit suicide, and later in the song, they kind of flip that idea, where he says it's not painless. ... We're not nameless. So he's kind of saying that people are kind of unique, and because earlier in the song he was talking about how we're all nameless. So I think he kind of goes back on that, saying, "Wait a second, we're not nameless."
Yeah, and then he also talks about like saying, I think he says after that, like they were a friend of mine, or they are a friend of mine.
Yeah, that was right sandwiched right in between those two lines. I said I just skipped it because nameless and painless rhyme really nicely. But yeah, great song.
It is, yeah. One of my favorites on the album.
I did not recommend it, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless.
On a side note, I recommended that my old youth pastor listen to this album. And he said that he really liked this song, Creature Comfort.
That's a good song for a youth pastor.
Yeah. Anyway.
But there were, I mean, I think we had touched upon it on some of the other Arcade Fire reviews, but like Win Butler went to school for religious studies.
Yeah.
And there are definitely themes of like questioning religious ideas, but I still can't 100% get a feel for his views.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
I
think he
know.
makes it vague enough on purpose.
Yeah, he makes it a little bit less vague in his solo stuff, though.
I've never checked it out. Maybe I will have to.
I thought you. Oh, that was Will Butler, not Win Butler.
Yes.
My bad.
The other Butler.
Well, Will Butler makes it clear on his solo record that he does
Yeah.
not, or that he is also doubtful.
Yeah. Yeah. He just released a second solo album, and I haven't really checked it out, but
He did.
maybe I will.
I listened to it one time through, but I can't give a full yes or no or a full review on it right now.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on to track number 5, which is called Pizza Pan. This is perhaps the oddest sounding song on the album.
Oh, you said Peter Pan.
Pizza
I
Pan.
thought you said Pizza Pan. I was like, I don't remember that song at all.
I mean, Pizza Pan would be a great song.
Peter Pan. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying in a terrible accent.
You said Pizza Pan.
Pizza Pan.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is such a weird sounding song.
It is. Yeah.
Maybe
I
the
like it,
weirdest
though.
sounding song in their discography.
Yeah. It's got like this really weird, like electrical, like
Electronic
notes
reggae?
above it, and then like, but it also has like a driving bass, like bop 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 bop.
Yeah. I almost think it's like, and I don't want to say hip hop because my knowledge of like which subcategory of rap beats this would be, but like a rap beat mixed with electronic, mixed with reggae and dub. It's this like such a strange feel, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to describe like what it would be because I there aren't many things that sound like this. In all honesty,
Yeah.
that I know
Definitely.
about. The song was inspired by his dad being sick. He mentioned that on an interview with Zane Lowe. He's got an internet radio show on Apple Music.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever looked up some of his interviews, Zane Lowe, but he interviews a lot of big name people, but he's usually pretty knowledgeable and he can get some good stuff out of people.
Okay. Yeah, I have not, but maybe I'll have to check that out.
I only listened to just a brief portion of it, but I also have another quote from the NPR interview about
Okay.
this song. And it starts out with Ari, whatever that guy's name
Ari
is.
Shapiro.
Shapiro. I keep wanting to say Ari Shafir because he's a comedian, but they're very different people.
Yeah, definitely.
But Ari Shapiro says, as long as we're talking about family, the spark for the song Peter Pan came from your father. Tell us about this. And Wynn says, he doesn't actually talk about his father at all. Here's what he says. Both of my grandfathers were 96 when they passed away, so we got a lot of really good time with our grandparents. And I have a son now. You start to realize that your parents are getting older and the realization that they're not always going to be there. It's a different way of facing mortality. I think, parentheses, the character of, in parentheses, Peter Pan, in a lot of ways, is emblematic of the modern man.
Hmm.
He's kind of the dream of being young forever, always dressing like the teenager and always feeling young. But this song was trying to get a more direct, less ironic take on the desire to not have the people you love die.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, and it's 100% there. And he kind of like, that's like the inspiration for the song, but it's also maybe a love song. A love song maybe encompassing the idea of what I just...
Yeah, I could see
over.
that for sure.
Yeah.
It's a really fantastic song, but I agree with you, and you said that it's definitely the strangest sounding song on the album.
Yeah. Hard to describe it, so you got to listen and check it out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Definitely.
cool to hear. Moving on to another different sounding song, Chemistry.
Chemistry.
And I don't think they actually hiccup like that, but
no,
but it's
the song for me is so weird. Like
it
just
is a
the
very
whole,
weird one.
It's like, I don't think like campy is the right word for it, but it kind of is though.
It kind of is. Like it's got 100% reggae verses, like stuff that you hear like traditional Jamaican reggae verses,
like everything on the upbeat and like
not like ska music, but like the old timey reggae, which is interesting. But then again, like later on in the later choruses, when he says
Yeah.
"you and me got chemistry," it almost turns into like
Ba-da-da-da.
a classic rock guitar riff,
Yeah.
and it's like, where did this come from? Like it's out there, but it's again really cool, and I like it. This is my honorable mention, BT Dubs,
Oh, okay, nice.
just because I like it. It's bouncy, dancey, but not
Yeah,
like poppy synth dance.
yeah, it really is bouncy and poppy. But I just don't really like the fact that it's pretty much like one lyric throughout the entire thing.
Yep. It's kind of, if you just look at the lyrics for face value, it kind of seems like a creepy, unrequited love.
Yeah.
But a lot of people on Lyric Genius said that it's supposed to be from the perspective of like a big corporation trying to market towards consumers. So if
Oh,
you
okay.
think about that,
Yeah, that makes sense.
then the repetition and like the creepiness makes a lot of sense.
You and me, we got chemistry. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Street.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, but it's interesting. So maybe it does fit into that consumerism
And I mean, yeah, like
idea.
if you, I guess, yeah, if you think about some of the lyrics, like one of them is like, dance with your boyfriend all night long. Tell him you really, really love his song. It's like really like generic kind of like ideas about what chemistry is, I guess. So I guess it does
Lyrically,
kind of
kind of
make sense.
dull
Yeah,
for them.
yeah, like lyrically, it's really flat and really
But if
they're
they're
not like
writing from a
metaphorical at
if they're writing
all.
from a perspective of like a big corporation dumbing down a message for a consumer,
Yeah,
maybe it makes
it
sense.
makes complete sense then. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to choose to believe it because I think Arcade Fire is a pretty smart band and fairly
yeah,
deliberate.
yeah, they definitely are. So I agree with you there.
Moving on to track number 7 and 8, I'm going to go ahead and talk about these two at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, they could almost be one song, and it would be fine.
Yeah, it's called Infinite Content, and track number 8's Infinite _ Content.
Yes.
The first one is kind of like their attempt at punk rock.
Yeah, I would say so. It's like
Yeah, it's
pretty fast, and like really the drums just drive the entire song.
yeah, it's fast
And then
and
there's
like
like
just in
one
your
like
face.
there's one like melodic line that goes through it. The boo
Mm-hmm.
doo 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 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that kind of comes back in the second, which is Infinite _ Content. But this one is like slower and a little bit like country sounding.
I could see
So
that
two
a little bit.
very different sounding songs, both saying the same thing:
Yeah.
infinite content. We're infinitely content.
Yeah.
And they talked about this on the NPR interview as well. Wynn said, and the interviewer looks like I cut off my screenshot, so I can't see what he's saying. But he was saying something along the lines of people accusing them of not being like earnest and kind of just writing some things off. But Wynn said, "I don't know that we've ever made a more earnest record. Like even infinite content is just like a dirge of pain, you know." Haha. It says laughed. It says Princey's laugh,
You
so I'm
know.
just trying to put it there. It's literally, I don't know what else to say except to say this over and over again. It's genuinely an expression of pain. And then Ari Shapiro says, pain about what? What's the cause of the pain? One says, having everything that you've ever cared about just reduced to a piece of content is kind of painful to me in a sense. Anyone involved in music is told, we need more content for this thing. Or the content of these photos is everything or is amazing. You thought that you were making records and then everything ends up being about content. It's like filling up a hard drive in a weird way and you're kind of just trying to kick against it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just definitely like a message on like how much content there is now and like the internet and the fast paced age that we live in. The culture is just like more and more and more.
Yeah.
With streaming services and with Spotify and Netflix and all that, it's just a plethora of stuff that we couldn't see all of it even if we wanted to.
Yeah. You remember that Black Mirror episode where those people are like powering the country or their life on those treadmills and they're like watching the TVs?
Yeah, with
Do you remember that one?
the glass to the neck guy.
Yeah, and then that guy like it kind of makes sense in the context of that, because like that guy was like really emotional, right? About trying to get out of
Hmm.
the construct or whatever you want to call it. And
Yep.
ultimately he just becomes the content that fuels it, you know?
Yep.
And so I think that kind of
The cycle.
is kind of what they're talking about in this song.
Yeah.
Is
Like
like,
what's the value of that thing now?
yeah, if it's
Yeah.
just for pure entertainment. And like, I
Yeah.
guess I can understand what he's saying, like you spend so much time working on like a piece of music or something that you enjoy, and then ultimately it's just consumed and like tossed out or whatever for something
Yep.
else. It's interesting.
And it's true. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. But very strange centerpiece to an album.
I like it though. It's good.
I do too. Track number 9 is called Electric Blue.
Ooh, I like this song a lot.
I do too. It's a big change of pace from probably the whole rest of the album, I'd say.
Yeah,
It's a slower sounding song. I wouldn't say it's a slow song, but it's not as driving like poppy. There's no four on the floor. It's just got this certain like almost like a melancholy feel, like just a little eerie maybe.
yeah, a little bit eerie. And then this is where we see the other singer, not Will or Win.
Regine, whatever her last name is.
Yes.
Electric Blue. A lot of people said it could be a reference. I guess there's a David Bowie song that does Electric Blue a lot. I don't know. He sang a line on their last record, so maybe not.
Was this
Not
after?
100.
Did this come out after Bowie passed away?
Oh,
Was that
good
2000? Did
question.
he pass away in 2016? Is that when Black Star came out?
I am looking it up right now. I think it might have been 17. And according to nope, it was 16. You're right.
Yeah. So maybe it could be a reference.
Yeah, it very well could be because they were big fans of his.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
all
it
in
would
all,
make
I'm
sense.
not 100% sure what the song's saying. Something about a relationship, but it's really catchy, and her voice is kind of suited nicely for this song, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Na, 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 na.
Na 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 na. Got me so confused. I just like that really really high note that she hits in this song. It's so good.
Which
Like
one?
at,
Because
at
she's
the at the climax of the like probably like 2/3 of the way through the song.
okay. I mean, she can hit some high notes with that false. She kind of does that like heady voice, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, really unique voice.
yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
it's a solid song and a good change of pace, I think.
Yeah, one of my favorites. It's a real banger
Not
in
one of
my
my
opinion.
favorites, but not a skipper.
Yeah, okay, definitely not a skipper. Gotcha.
Yeah, no skippers on this record, I don't think.
I agree.
Moving on to track number 10. The song is my second recommendation. It's Good God Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Similar vibe musically to Signs of Life because it's got that funky bass line, and you could maybe like picture this in a 70s cop or detective movie.
Yeah,
um, and it's kind of like I imagine like someone searching for a bad guy while this plays in the background.
I could
You want
definitely
to
see
get
that.
messed
Yeah,
up, you know.
when times get rough, put
But
your
it's
favorite
really
get on, baby. Yeah.
favorite record on Fill the Bathtub Up.
Yep.
And that is, of course, a reference to the lady from Creature Comforts.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from her perspective.
It's the same. 1, 2, 3. Creature comfort is 4. And if you go from the bottom, everything now is last. 2, 3, and the good goddamn is 4. So it kind of they come at the same place in the album track listing.
Yeah, they do. So probably, again, intentional.
Yeah.
But she does not commit suicide, as we already know from Creature Comforts. And the song kind of ends in a similar fashion. Like at the end of Creature Comforts, they talked about how like it's not painless, we're not nameless. At the end of this one, um, he's kind of talking about like if there's a God, like if he made you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we like people have inherent value. I think is kind of the realization at the end.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting how they phrase the lyrics. at the end
Yes.
when he says, maybe there's a good God, then he pauses, damn.
Yeah, because at the beginning he just it's kind of like screw it, like
Yeah.
But at the end he's kind of switching, or she, depending on who you're thinking of, who's
Yeah,
singing.
it's almost like if you were to write it out, it would be maybe there's a good God, comma, damn.
Damn.
Like with the way that they say that. So they're like, huh, maybe there is like meaning to
Yeah,
everything. Maybe.
that's another
If he made
another thing
you,
where
if he,
maybe he's thinking about religious things. Who
yeah,
knows?
maybe not.
Well, I mean, he is thinking about it, but we don't know for sure. Maybe.
Not for sure about his conclusion though.
Yeah, he's just saying maybe,
Yeah.
literally. Moving on to track number 11. This is my last recommendation,
Mm.
and this is called "Put Your Money on
Put
Me."
your money on
All
me.
your money on, put your money on.
All your
Really cool
money on
song,
me.
and I
Yeah.
think it starts off with like casino sounds, like slot machine sounds. And obviously putting money on something is like betting, so
Yeah.
it's fairly easy connection there.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
starts off with like beeping and stuff like
mhm.
that. Yep.
I love the arpeggiated bass line, the
Yeah, the
do do
boom
do
boom
do
boom
do
boom
do
boom
do
boom
do.
boom 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 boom.
And I can't remember 100%, but I think that goes throughout almost the whole song. But it's a really cool driving bass line. That's just like a solid bass to the song.
Yeah, agreed.
Literally a solid bass. Very catchy. It seems to be about a tough relationship. He compares like putting the money metaphors into like trying to make it work.
Hmm.
But my favorite part's the end when it's not necessarily call and response, but they have that descending melody where it's the put your money on, all your money on, and they just kind of keep going down, and it's really, really kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Good song.
agreed.
Moving on to the penultimate track. Or if you think of the context of this album as the last and first song
Could be
being a
the
loop,
last song.
I think this sounds like a closer to me.
It does, yeah. Agreed.
It's called "We Don't Deserve Love," track number 12, and I've got one last quote from the NPR interview, and I
Okay.
think this is a good one.
Hit me with it.
It's a long quote, so brace yourself.
Mm.
So NPR Ari says the album ends with the ballad that sounds different from a lot of the other songs in the album. Will you tell me about how you built this? And Wynn says there's a synthesizer called the Hymnotron that I got for Regine on her birthday. It was a really good birthday gift. Haha. It's really cool, a really cool synth. You don't really play it like a normal synth. It's just these weird buttons and knobs. And I was just turning it on and trying to figure it out how it worked. Our engineer at the time, our friend Corey Ritchie, that worked on Reflector, he left and it was a really teary goodbye. He was like, well, I'm going to have to take this other job. And I was like, well, I'm really going to miss you. And he was like, oh, well, that thing you were playing the other day, I hope one day in my life I make something as beautiful as that. And I was like, what thing? Haha. And he was like, that thing you played on the synth the other day. And I pulled it up and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So NPR Ari says, just you figuring out how to use the instrument? And Wynn says, yeah, Corey was sitting in the corner almost crying like, oh, this is so beautiful. While I was like, how does this thing work? Afterwards, when he pointed out, I was like, oh, right. And the thing was the song pretty much. The vocal was the first time I ever sang it, and everyone in the band just went into the studio and put a layer, and then that was the song.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so
he
didn't even,
he literally had no lyrics for it, didn't write any lyrics down, and just went in and sang.
I guess.
Wow.
But it's also crazy that he wasn't trying to write a song. Like they must have been like recording, and he was just trying to figure out how to use the synthesizer, and what he was doing
Must have been, yeah.
Because it's got that.
Yeah, it sounds planned.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And it's I don't know what a hymnotron is, but apparently that. And I think the NPR Ari is right. This does sound different from anything else on the record.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it would fit on any of the other albums. But I think thematically, for sure, it fits in at the end of this album. Because, I mean, obviously, it's talking about exactly what the title says. We don't deserve love. Like, maybe we don't deserve love. Like, being these people focused on consumerism
love.
are just invested in ourselves and what makes our like us feel good. I don't know. But at the end, um, I think there's some more religious stuff at the end when he's talking about like Mary roll the stone away. Why is it
Hmm.
always a Christ-like figures that leave or like whatever? So it's again, what is he saying? I don't know. But I think in the end he is saying we do deserve love.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
in the context of the album, he's trying to say like we get love in it and everyone's like has inherent value, but we make a hard case for ourselves. I
Right.
think. Yeah.
Wow. Just a quick side note. I just looked up Hymnotron. Did you look up what it looks like?
No, but I'm about to look it up right
It
now.
looks crazy. It's like like an electronic organ.
Is it big?
Yeah, it looks really weird. I wonder what version they had.
Hymnotron
It
images.
looks pretty cool though.
Oh,
Like it
not at all what
has
I was expecting. It
like
looks like
it
a voting
has it
machine.
has like floor pedals and it
Yeah.
has like a few keys on it. It looks like one of them says voice, like
Like I
tune
imagine somebody
voice.
I imagine a radio operator during World War II sending messages using this
Yeah,
thing.
like switching out all the cords to like connect someone via telephone
Yeah,
or
it's
something like
really
that.
interesting.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool though.
I can't imagine that was a cheap gift.
Yeah, definitely not. Jeez.
Very cool. Maybe I'll look up some videos of this later because I'm really curious now.
Yeah. But anyway, that was just
As we
a
know,
quick side
this
note.
technically isn't the last song. The last song,
Technically
track
not,
number
yeah.
13, is called Everything Now, parentheses, continued.
Hmm.
Just like the first song, which it segues into kind of, it's got like the same lyrics for the most part. There's some added things in here. But it's twice as long, and it's got this really beautiful orchestration that takes the melody from the title track
Hmm.
and just kind of like stretches it out real long, and it just sounds really kind of pleasant. And this would make sense coming right before the title track,
You're right, right. Then
which makes the case,
leading
yeah,
into everything now.
yeah. So which makes the case that it is meant to be a loop
Yeah.
of infinite content.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Looking back on this album and like after like you saying all the stuff that Win said,
Hmm.
like this is a fantastic album.
I think so too. I
Like
think,
just really well put together, really well thought out. Great musically, great melodies, really catchy hooks and great bass, and just like everything about it is fantastic.
it's a great song. I don't know why people didn't like it as much as their other releases.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would actually be curious to like read some of the, like the negative reviews about the album.
yeah. Check some out and see what you think. But I don't know. I think it's a really good album.
Yeah, and I personally really like the whole theme of the album,
I do too.
that consumerism is kind of harming us, or like harming us as like a culture or like as a people.
It goes against what like human nature is supposed to be, and it's
Yeah,
doing more bad than good.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. It's a good theme, and that's a theme that's probably going to pop up again, and has popped up on other things that we've reviewed.
yep,
Yeah. Well, good deal. Good album. I'm
yeah.
really
Just a
excited to see what they do
great
next.
album. Yeah, didn't you say it? Didn't you tell me earlier that they were working on stuff, right?
Yeah, from at least
For like a
according to
quadruple
Wikipedia,
album or something like
like
that.
something ridiculous like that.
Wow.
I haven't heard anything since, so we'll see. I didn't know that they did the Her soundtrack though.
Yeah, I saw that too recently, and I was like, wow. I guess that does make sense that they would do a
Yeah,
soundtrack, especially dealing with the themes in the movie Her.
yeah. I knew you liked that movie. I finally saw it like this past weekend.
It's a mind boggler. It's a weird movie,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I mean,
I really like it. And Joaquin Phoenix does such a good job in that movie.
he's a
Like
weird dude in
really,
person, but great actor.
really portraying that he is in love with this computer or like this
AI,
AI. Yeah, it's really weird.
interesting movie.
Definitely.
Yeah. Looking forward to next week. We don't have a plan again, so
Yeah,
we will
we're just gonna do whatever. Maybe it'll be a
a review,
one-off
maybe,
album review. Maybe it'll just be a free-form episode. We'll see.
but you will find out when we release that.
Yes.
Any thoughts on the beer as it warms up? I actually think I like it a little bit more now that it warmed up.
Let me give it one more sip real quick.
Yeah, I think it almost seems a little less.
It seems a little bit
aggressive.
less harsh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like it as it warmed up.
There's
not that I
also-
didn't like it before.
There's also some sediment on the bottom of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I like it though. It's still really good.
I would get this again for sure.
But I definitely think as it warmed up, the maltiness, like when we first tried it, and it was like really punchy with the malt, and then that like citrus sweetness kind of cut through and balanced
Yes.
it all out. Now it really has like come together and become one. It's all really really well balanced as it has warmed up.
One beer to rule them all.
One beer.
Wait, that was last
in
week.
the darkness. Right there. That was last week, yeah.
Yeah. You like Lord of the Rings? Check out our last episode.
Yeah, we talk about Howard Shore and how awesome he is, and drink a beer called The Gates of Smordor.
What a good beer.
Yeah, it was really good.
What a good soundtrack. Just everything's good all around.
Yeah.
What say you that we finish this beer, however?
Sounds good to me.
As we always say on American Brews and Tunes.
Shibbity-dee-put-doo!
Down the hatch now. I was slow on thinking of something there.
Yeah, I could hear you were trying to think.
Yeah. Anyways, my name is Stephen Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And this is American Brews and Tunes.
Here's a theme song, it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity-beeby-da.